Jam. Toon Jam.
Hello, yon jammers, and welcome to today's doth episode of Toon Jam. We are talking Dungeons and Dragons.
Greetings.
Greetings, one and all. Yes, welcome to Toon Jam. I am Matt.
And I'm Jamie.
And today, as I've just stated in ye olde tongue, we are talking Dungeons and Dragons, the classic series from the 1980s. Oh boy, what a treat. So before we get started, let me give you a bit of background info on Dungeons and Dragons. It's an American animated television series based on TSR's Dungeons and Dragons role-playing game, a co-production of Marvel Productions and TSR. The show originally ran from 1983. Just a heads up, Marvel Productions has nothing to do with Marvel Comics, by the way.
Oh, I was confused.
I was thinking as well. The show originally ran from 1983 through to 1985 for 3 seasons on CBS for a total of 27 episodes. The Japanese company Toei Animation did the animation for the series. The show focused on a group of 6 friends who are transported into the titular realm and followed their adventures as they tried to find a way home with the help of their guide, Dungeon Master. It's essentially Jumanji reversed with Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Fun fact: it never really ended, but a final unproduced episode would have served as a conclusion, as well as reimagining had the series been picked up for a 4th season. However, the show was cancelled before the episode was made. The script can be found though from various sources online and was performed as an audio drama as a special feature for the BSI Eclipse DVD edition of the series. So if you're a big fan, head over to there, check that out, get your DVD on the go.
That's it.
You'll be a happy bunny. So let's just I've got some more fun facts for you. For her work on the series, Tonya Gale Smith, who voiced Diana, was nominated for Outstanding Young Actress in Animation Voiceover
Really?
at 1984-85 Youth in Film Awards. So that's pretty hilarious because the voice acting's pretty trash. You can get a full orchestral version of the Dungeons and Dragons animated series main theme, composed by Johnny Douglas, and it was released as the 6th track on the 1991 album The Johnny Douglas Strings on Screen. So that's pretty cool. Television advertisements. Here's another fun one. The characters were licensed for a Brazilian live-action television commercial released in May 2019 to promote the launch of Renault's Quid Outsider. So I've not seen that, but that is hilarious.
That sounds fun already.
Yeah, I guess they're big in Brazil. And then toys and collectibles. This is interesting. An advanced Dungeons and Dragons toy line was produced in 1983, including original characters such as Warduke Strongheart, the Paladin, and evil wizard Kelek, who would later appear in campaigns for the basic edition's role-playing game. None of the main characters from the TV series were included in the toy line, but connection does exist as Warduke, Strongheart, and Kelek each appear in one episode of the series. Only in Spain and Portugal were PVC characters of the main characters produced. The Brazilian company, named Iron Studios, will release 2019 an entire set of polystone collectible statues for most of the Dungeons & Dragons cartoon characters using a 1/10 scale, and together they will form a full diorama. But this is interesting because I realised as I was watching it that I had a toy of the Barbarian Kid.
Really?
Yeah. Because it was like my cousin's hand-me-down.
Was your cousin Brazilian?
Strangely enough, no.
What?
Well, it says they were only main characters in Spain and Portugal.
So
So I wonder if maybe they were just like European
yeah,
sort of
or
release.
maybe they went to Spain on holiday and he got one there.
Maybe, but I don't think they did.
How weird.
I mean, I don't know, but yeah. Because it was like, that was the big thing. What I was going to say in our sort of, have you seen it before? No, I haven't seen it before, but I did have the toy of the barbarian kid, and I didn't realise until I started watching it. I was like, hold on, pretty sure I had a toy of that.
That's
I
pretty
mean,
weird, yeah.
I didn't. Maybe I'm misremembering, and it's just something like, I'm getting him mixed up with the kid from Bucky O'Hare.
Yeah.
Because he has
Willy the Whip.
Yeah, he has like a semi-barbarian spacesuit on, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And I know I definitely had a toy of him as well. But I do really feel like I had it. So
yeah, I mean, you could have done. I believe you. I believe you when you're saying it.
Interesting.
Interesting.
But yeah, had you ever seen this before?
No. I mean, I've very only quite recently stepped into the world of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
So because it's quite old timey for me.
Yeah. So
yeah, never seen the cartoon. Never
A couple of years back, we went through a sort of phase of playing it as a group, but people get busy and one thing leads to another, and it kind of disbanded. But we had a good few games of it, didn't we? And
it was a lot. Yeah, it was good. I do remember though when I was little, like my neighbor had a game of Dungeons and Dragons, but it wasn't like that. It wasn't like the role play game that we played. It was like a board game almost, where you put the board down and then you put up like little paper walls or whatever. So you kind of make.
That's something you can do that as part of it, because my brother used to have all the stuff for it. So if you want to create a castle or something, you can make it so that people can see as they move through it, so they get.
Right, yeah, that actually makes sense. Yeah. But it felt like a completely different game back then. We probably just didn't understand how to play it, so we're just rolling dice and just like working our way through.
I think we all sort of had a different idea of what the game was. And I mean, that's one thing I will say about this series. It's very much like people playing the game. Like they tried to do everything creatively in a way that every time one of the characters does something, it's like a planned out D&D style move. For those that don't know the lingo, D&D stands for Dungeons and Dragons. Just saying. And also, I mean, if you know Dungeons and Dragons, you'll know these guys are rolling permanent D20s. Am I right? Am I right, guys at home? Hey? Yeah? We're there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Gary Gygax is executive producer on the show as well, wasn't he? So it was actually, in under D&D.
Yeah.
Royalty.
Yeah. It's the proper stuff.
Yeah.
The real deal. I guess this was like the sort of. I mean, when was D&D made in the 70s?
I think so. Yeah.
Completely wrong there. Sorry, guys.
1928.
Oh boy. 1974.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So I think the 80s is kind of when it really, really took off.
Yeah.
And I guess that's part of the, the 80s is big for like fantasy, isn't it? And it's that kind of, this is like what I call 80s dirty fantasy. Now, just to explain what I mean by that is just everywhere looks a bit dirty, but not in a way that it's like grubby. It just looks like old-fashioned dirty. When you see people in old films and you just think, these guys just look a bit dirty.
Yeah.
A bit unkempt. That's what I would call this. I would put things like He-Man into that. Maybe not Bucky O'Hare because they're all like cartoon characters. Any sort of 80s sci-fi or fantasy that has humans as the character. Dirty.
Everyone needs a good mop and a good clean.
Yeah. Except for Star Wars, somehow they avoided the dirt.
Yeah, except for that trash compactor.
Oh yeah, to be fair.
That's where it all went.
That's when it all went wrong. Okay, so yeah, so we watched the first episode. Just a heads up for listeners, we're going to start just watching the first episode of everything. Everything we watch is going to be the first episode. That way, if you want to watch it beforehand, then we're going to watch the first episode. It's going to be the first episode. So today is the first episode of Dungeons and Dragons, which is titled, let me tell you what it's titled, The Night of No Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Oh boy. Which I will say, kind of like, having watched the episode, that is a really vague title that means nothing.
Yeah.
Just to throw that out there instantly off the bat. Let's start at the start. The theme tune.
Yeah. Well,
I don't remember it even.
No, it's lost in my brain wherever that went.
Yeah, I don't even remember the intro. I think it had like.
The intro was crazy.
Was it an explanation-y intro?
Yeah, the intro was like the first episode, but in 20 seconds. It was so fast.
Yeah, because that was the thing. The first thing I thought was like this. If we watch the first episode, we'll know what's going on. It'll set us up. But actually, the intro just did that, and everything else was just like random episode. Yeah,
it was so fast paced that you were straight in. By the time the titles were on, you were like, "Whoa, I'm done. I'll leave the cinema now."
What was crazy about this is I do remember it now because it's that whole thing with the roller coaster.
Yeah.
So what would you imagine the start of this is going to be? They start playing the game, like genuinely reverse Jumanji. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
They play the game and they get pulled into it. No, for this they go on a roller coaster, and it's a Dungeons and Dragons roller coaster, and then it goes into the game.
Yeah.
The first thing I'm thinking is like, how many people are stuck in there?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on with this roller coaster? It's never really explained, as far as I'm aware. I mean, we watched the first episode, so it is. That whole theme park bit, though, it seems so unrelated.
Yeah, it was. It was like they'd done an episode and then just fast forwarded it, because it was like there was a whole. They were all just normal kids, and then they were just at the theme park, and then they went into the thing, and then all this other stuff happened where they got assigned their roles and stuff like that, and then that unicorn thing turns up out of nowhere, and just I don't know where that comes from.
I mean, that's just the classic 80s pet.
Yeah, 80s pet sidekicks for no apparent reason.
Cartoon. Yeah, there's a pet.
And it was just like, what is that? And yeah, you meet the dungeon master, who is hilarious.
Yeah. He's basically the Cheshire Cat.
Yeah.
As an elf or something, or a gnome.
He's like a good version of what's that? What's the little weird owl idiot from Mighty Max? Like Virgil.
Oh, yeah.
Or he's like good Virgil.
This is like the origins of Virgil.
Yeah.
Dungeon Master.
He's awful, and he just keeps popping up out nowhere. So he's introduced to him in the intro bit as well, tells him what's going on, and it's just then the theme tune starts, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess I'm in now. And I kind of thought we were going to get that thing that we had with something we watched a couple of weeks ago, maybe, where it was like it did the intro and then you got tired.
It was last week. It was Silverhawks, wasn't it?
Yeah, Silverhawks, and then the whole episode was just more of the intro you'd already seen.
Yeah.
And it was like, what? I think I've seen this already. I know what's going on. But it didn't, luckily.
It was kind of like watched 2 episodes.
Yeah, it was.
We watched the first episode in the space of 2 minutes, and then we watched the second episode, which almost felt like it was set 5 weeks after the first.
Yeah, it was.
So the characters, we've got let me go through it. So there's Hank the Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy he's blonde kid. He's basically the leader of the team. Yeah. Then you've got Eric the Cavalier, and this is like he's sort of a knight. He's a bit of an arsehole, to be honest.
Yeah, you hate him, don't you?
Yeah, he's like the brat of
Yeah.
the team. Then we've got Diana the acrobat. So she just looks like another barbarian, but she's got a pole vault thing going on. Then we've got Presto the magician, who is your team nerd, basically. He's like the only one of the team that you think would actually play Dungeons and Dragons, especially during this time. I mean, now we all play it, but hey ho.
Yeah.
Then Sheila the thief. She's just got a cape on and a nice dress. I guess she's a rogue of some sort.
Yeah, I think so.
Bobby the barbarian. So he's the youngest member of the team, 8 years old, just a kid, but he's the strong one. He is the barbarian. Just a little play, I guess, on archetypes there.
Yeah.
Then you've got Uni the unicorn, who is
of course.
a baby unicorn, who just makes noises and generally is annoying.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Dungeon Master. Now, villains, we only saw, we saw 2 villains. So there's Venger, the force of evil. So he is just basically a very evil wizard with one horn.
Yeah.
So just one horn on the side of his head. I don't know if the other one's missing or if that's just a fashion choice.
Yeah, I feel like that's why he became evil, because
Venger, the force of evil, one horn.
Lopsided horn.
Just one horn.
You know, you get branded as, evil or ugly.
Most evil wizards, 2 horns, not Venger. He is against the grain.
Oh man, nonconformist.
Yeah. There is Shadow Demon. We didn't see Shadow Demon. This is it. Here's the description: a shadowy demon. So he's the personal spy and assistant of Venger. And then Tiamat, Venger's arch rival, a fearsome female 5-headed dragon with a reverberating multi-level voice.
Yeah.
I mean, this character is ridiculous. It's just a dragon that he seems to chase him around everywhere with no aim whatsoever. There's no real thing going on with her. She just is a dragon. No,
it's very confusing, like powers as well. Like levels of strength that seems to, and wit that seems to sort of fluctuate massively. And when she did talk, she sounded a lot like Goldar from the Power Rangers, if you ask me. But,
that's a good likeness. So Goldar dragon.
Goldar
So basically, this episode was kind of there's just to spoiler alert. I'm going to ruin the episode for you. Venger, the evil wizard. Bear in mind, disguises himself as Merlin, a good wizard. The guys are pretty stupid. The clue's there the whole time. The dungeon master says to him at the start, the villain will have white hair.
Yeah.
Like Merlin carries a white hair, throws him off guard entirely because Merlin is bald.
Yeah, which is quite funny reveal where he like takes his hat off and he's just bald.
What's even funnier is his hat has white hair attached to it like a wig.
Yeah.
So it's like he was teasing him, like, oh, maybe I'm me. Oh no, it's not.
Oh no.
And then it turned out the white hair was actually a white hair. I guess the dungeon master was a bit more specific.
Yeah, it was even better when he specifically said that, like in a sentence where they were like, he's like,
it's not a rabbit.
They're like, yeah, a nice rabbit. It's not a rabbit. It's a hare, a white hair.
Like the
no one picked up on it. They were like, yeah, okay, cool. So,
but yeah, Merlin essentially uses the wizard of the team, little wizard boy. I can't remember his name. Presto.
Which I thought was weird because it's like, is that his normal name at home? Like everybody else is like Eric, and he's Presto. Like, is that a Christian name?
Yeah, I don't know why they've picked, because it is like Hank.
Yeah. No idea, but hey ho. So he basically tricks him into unleashing some flying dragons. Again, to cut a long story short, but Presto's pretty overall a terrible wizard. Yeah,
it's got a magic hat. They've all got, so this is the thing, isn't it? They've all got a magical item of some sort.
Yeah,
that gives them their power. So the archer has a bow, the barbarian has a club, the acrobat has the pole vault, etc., etc. He has his hat and he pulls stuff out, and it's always slightly wrong. Like, what is it? Does he want some milk or something?
Yeah, hamburgers, I think. And then he pulls out a cow.
Yeah, he pulls out a cow, and it's like, oh, I guess I'll never be that good at this magic game. It's like, yep, probably not.
Yeah, although, you know, I'd say that's better than a hamburger.
Yeah, a whole cow.
Yeah.
You will feed everyone, especially in that world, that dirty fantasy world.
Exactly.
Who knows when your next meal's going to pop up?
You just don't. Cow's well better.
Yeah. So he basically releases the dragons, trying to find a spell to take them all home. He's tricked. Guess what? He's tricked. And then Venger steals his hat to add to his own magic power and becomes no more powerful as far as I'm aware.
No, absolutely nothing changes.
And they start destroying this town. And basically Hank finds Presto again, Hank and the team, and then when they're fighting them, like they're fighting the dragons, and Hank says, oh, you guys fight the dragons, me and Presto will go and do something else.
Yeah.
And just leaves them all to deal with the real dramatic problem. Like a good leader.
That's it. And then what happens is that, like, the other guy just strolls right into the room that they're in anyway, so that plan just fails almost immediately.
And then you know, you've got your classic fight. Like every fight move is over the top. It's like, we need to put out these torches so we're in the dark. So the pole woman throws a stick at every single, so it bounces off the wall and takes out all of them.
It's so weird. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking when they started assigning all the roles, like, you'd be gutted if you got like acrobat and thief, because it's just like, how often are they going to come into play, like in reality? Like, there was a bit that seemed completely unnecessary where they had to jump from like one cloud to another to get the lever for the drawbridge or something, and she was like, I guess this is my time to shine, and then jumps like 2 feet over the gap. Like, I think anyone could have made that.
But you'd have to just use it at every chance given to justify its existence. You'd sort of on the lower rung. The problem is, if Presto was like anywhere near a magician, none of the rest of them would need to be there, which is kind of almost a flaw in the role assignment of D&D in the first place. Like if you've got like a solid wizard, then like you don't need a guy you can like throw flechettes at somebody from a distance, do you? Because it's like, I can, you know, conjure the floor into his face instead. So I guess it depends what spells you know.
Yeah.
There's Dungeons and Dragons fans now screaming at you.
Absolutely, like, you know what, mate? When you're a level 70 thief, you can absolutely stop time. So shut your mouth.
Oh yeah, you tell that to my halfling Willie Toscobble.
That's it.
That's genuinely the name of my halfling, but guys, so don't steal that name.
That's it. That's trademark name.
That's my character name. He's a thief, well, a rogue, but a thief too, if you catch my thief of hearts.
That's it.
Anyway. But yeah, it does utilize that D&D aspect quite well. And I can see, sort of at the time, considering the level of cartoons at the time, it pretty much runs true to most other stuff. Yeah. And if you like Dungeons and Dragons, you'd be like, oh yeah. Oh yeah, this is just like when I went to the theme park the other day.
Yeah, and fell into that roller coaster.
It's really weird because at the end as well, the end credits was just like a pan shot of the theme park.
Yeah,
it just looks
that place they'll never return to.
Dungeons and Dragons roller coaster, and then Disneyland.
Yeah,
the rest of it is like New Orleans, Steamboat, Castle, Space Mountain, Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
But for some reason, that is the thing that really confused me the most, because obviously surely the thing is, it's for fans of like Dungeons and Dragons, and those that aren't fans, you want to get them into it.
Yeah.
But there was no real mention of the game.
No.
It wasn't like the game existed.
Yeah, whereas like usually it's like, it's obvious that things are going to be a toy or whatever, and then they didn't even make the toys out of these guys.
No.
That's like the complete opposite of the game plan for making a cartoon, as far as the stuff that we've watched goes. It's like you make the show, you make the characters that are really distinct, and then you make those into plastic figures to sell to people en masse. Whereas these guys are like, we've already got a game, we'll just make a show about a roller coaster, and then we won't make any toys. That sounds like a good plan.
Weird, except for in Spain and
Portugal.
They
Spain and Portugal were
like, idea.
Yeah.
Now, 40 years on, Brazil are catching up.
Oh man, Brazil knew they were onto something from the get-go. They've just been biding their time for all these years. Finally.
Oh boy! I really want to see this advert.
I know. Yeah, I might have to check it out after.
Yeah. Right. Well, on that note, or did you have something else? Have I just cut you up?
I was just going to say that I think the one thing that I found weird was that the dragons no one seemed to be really that scared of the dragons throughout. No. There's quite a lot of dragons.
It's like dungeons and nuisances.
Yeah, they were just kind of walking away from them all the time. Even the big scary five-headed one. Like
the only reason it's in there is because the title is Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
And someone was like, "Well, it needs a dragon in it somewhere."
So they put one with 5 heads in because it's like, well, we've kind of got 5 dragons there. So, if we add any more, it's just bonus.
Yeah. But it's not something like, you play it and you don't really expect to come across a dragon that often.
No.
Or at least I didn't. Again, people at home, you idiot! Yeah. No wonder Willie Toscobble died. You are a fool.
You're a fool. You didn't go to the dragon's lair. It's level 1.
You idiot! All right, I'm sorry. Jeez, this Dungeons and Dragons crowd. This imaginary Dungeons and Dragons crowd that's just our own doubts manifested. Right. Well, on that note, let's go to our reviews. Hi, Venger here from Venger Products. I'm here to tell you all about the brand new one-horn helm. That's right, the one-horn helm. It's a helm with only one horn on it.
Venger, I heard that having 2 horns was the only way that you could enter the infernal abyss. Is that true?
No, in fact, it's false. You can get into the infernal abyss with any amount of horns. That's 1, 2. In fact, you can even get in there with no horns.
Venger, I found that having 1 horn is kind of, unbalancing. Is there a way that you can balance out just the 1 horn?
Absolutely. The best way to balance out the one horn is by spinning the helm round from time to time. Work out both sides of the head. Head exercises are vital in life, and no villain should go without the one horn helm.
Venger, I've got the one horn, but now all my mates call me uni-horned. Is that kind of an insult or what?
No, in fact, I would take that as a compliment. The one horn helm is absolutely avant-garde, and style often begets jealousy. So don't worry what your friends say. In actuality, they all want one, and in fact, they can all get one from Venger products. That's the one horn helm. Get yours now. And if you order from Brazil, you can even get yourself a second horn to apply. That's right, the two-horned one horn helm. Only available in Brazil. The one horn helm available worldwide. Okay, so here at Toon Jam, we have a 3-point rating system, unlike any other going. So those are thumbs up. You're at the theme park. Thumbs down. You're no longer at the theme park. Shaky middle, you somehow went into a board game. So good, bad, in the middle, not really sure. So Dungeons and Dragons episode 1 / intro plus episode 1.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I mean, I'd say they're pretty bold on the intro for like absolutely taking everything to 110% speed and just bounding straight through any information you might need about the characters initially and just going straight into, we're inside a roller coaster, inside a game situation. That was quite, I wasn't expecting that, so fair play on that one. But as far as the story goes, wasn't particularly excited about what they were doing. It was just kind of a long slog for them to try and attempt to get home badly, and it just kind of failed. None of the character, I mean, other than the barbarian, who was like just ready to fight at any given moment. Don't know. The rest of them just seems like whatever kind of characters. Like everyone was like, there was too much of that annoying kid to handle at any given time.
That I mean,
it didn't look...
I'll just cut in there. That annoying kid could be any of them.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah. It wasn't something that I don't think I'd sit down and really watch again. There was like not enough of any elements that really took me away. The dragons, no one seemed to be bothered about, and how powerful they were was very confusing because there was a scene where they like trapped the 5-headed one under the floorboards and a basement or something, and then when they let it out, it proceeded to just go headfirst through the brick walls of everything in front of it. It was just like, what? No, I didn't understand what happened.
It's too much.
Yeah, the wood was its only weakness, and I'm sure the D&D guys are like, yeah, obviously it's 5-headed dragon. Wood is its only weakness.
Oh my god! These idiots!
Have you even played the game? So yeah, it didn't really look nice. The voices mainly annoying and stuff. A few funny gags about Merlin being bold, but otherwise they just seemed like a clueless bunch of idiots that were just rocking along for a party they'd not wanted to go to at all, and just wasn't really as fun, and it didn't make me want to play the game, which I think should have been the whole purpose of that TV series. Yeah. So for me, it's going to be a thumbs down.
Ah, right. Okay. Well, that's a thumbs down. Before I go into my sort of review, you remember last week, obviously we did Silverhawks. If you've not listened to it. And it's something as well, if you listen to enough, you know that I'm not a big fan of the 80s anyway.
No.
But last week there was sort of a revelation in which Silverhawks kind of made me realise that there are a few 80s things I actually do quite like, and I'm sort of growing fonder of the era in a weird way. But then this reversed that. reminded me what I didn't like about the 80s. Dirty fantasy. It's just, yeah, I wasn't keen on it. Visually, it was pretty bare. Like they're just in this wasteland of just brown mountains. And then there's like they've got a town which is a couple of houses, a castle in a cloud. It's just there's not much going on visually. The characters look a bit generic. The only thing that I will say, it had the sort of used the Dungeons and Dragons elements of role play quite well, in that they solved problems in a creative way with what they had. So as you know, as someone that's played it, that's quite cool, because you're like, oh yeah, I suppose, you know, you're watching this, you think, oh yeah, that's different. Maybe when I go and play, I'll try and think of stuff a bit more outside the box. But the storyline was shoddy. The sort of setup of the premise is kind of, I imagine, I may be wrong, but I imagine pretty much every episode is, you've got this premise at the start, they're trying to get home, and every episode is just a new way to try and get home that fails. And I imagine that's pretty much the same thing. They mean, like, it's got, I mean, I read through the villains. There was 3 villains. One of them is a dragon that just seems to chase things anyway. So there's not much going on in it, really. And as much as I say, sort of, you know, it's sort of like most of the things, you know, it kind of is reminiscent of the other things that came out in the 80s. And as much as people are probably going to hate me saying this, but in the animation world, as much as you may love it, the 80s aren't seen as a particularly great time for, you know, quality content. It's mainly just toy shows, and, you know, all the fond memories are going to be nostalgic based, because you had the toys probably. But a lot of it is just the same sort of thing over and over again. Obviously, it's not everything, and there's a few good ones, but, you know, you don't see a lot of things coming out of the 80s that isn't that. And this is a prime example, I think, of the sort of pretty generic stuff coming out. And so for me, it is also a thumbs down. But I will say, we had a good laugh about it afterwards, which is always a good thing. But unlike Silverhawks last week, it wasn't a laugh during.
No, it wasn't.
That's the difference. It was boring, wasn't it? It was just like, I'm not going to watch this again. If someone brought it up, I'd just be like, oh yeah, well, we can have a laugh now, me and you. Whereas Silverhawks, it'd be like, oh yeah, that show is hilarious.
Yeah, as soon as Copper Kid opens his mouth, you are on the floor rolling around.
So yeah, that's the difference. And it's quite cool that we watch these back to back, because it is seeing that, you know, the ups and downs of this. It's 2 sides of the same coin.
That's it, yeah. And fantasy versus sci-fi as well, in a way.
Yeah. So there you go. Interesting. Okay, well, thank you for joining us. And we've got, I think, one more, you know, Standardo episode, and then we are entering October, which means spooky. That is as our new tradition of a full month of spooky cartoons.
Oh yeah,
exciting stuff. I'm hyped. I'm ready. I hope you guys are too. But like I say, one more normal episode to get through. Let's hope it's more successful next week. If you enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to rate and review us wherever you listen to us. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. Is it Google? No, Amazon Podcasts now.
Yeah.
That's the new one, isn't it? We're on there. You can find us on there. And if you want to catch up on old episodes, head over to our YouTube page, where we've got everything available from episode 1 to episode now. soon. Actually, it's not all of them, is it? The current ones you can get, but
They're
it's
about 4 behind, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything that's not on the podcast apps will be on YouTube.
Exactly. So if you're thinking, oh man, I can't get this one, I missed it, don't worry, head over to YouTube, it's there. You can also get bonus episodes on our Patreon. So if that interests you, please head over there. Otherwise, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, all I got to say is stay jammy.
Hey everyone, thank you for listening. If you want to help the show keep going, you can be extra jammy by heading over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/toonjampod. Here you can get a shout out on the show or unlock bonus episodes. Ratings and reviews anywhere you listen to the podcast also really help us out. So thank you and stay jammy.